Every time a new QB is drafted, it's instantly analyzed and torn to shreds by unending NFL media. Their landing spots, their upside, their flaws, their strengths, what school they went to, the weapons they had, the weapons they have, the coaches that are inheriting them are talked about 24/7, especially this time of year with the draft hastily approaching. Let's be honest, the NFL is year-round at this point. Whether it's NFL Network or one of the other major broadcasters, the NFL does not rest and usually dominates other sports during the regular seasons, which is crazy. And the NFL analysts don't stop at new incoming QBs, but also meticulously prod every starting QB in the league. Now, some of these QBs are easy to project, considering they have been in the league for 8+ years. You basically know what you're getting from those guys. Other guys might be in year 2 or 3 next year, and it's a complete crapshoot as to what these performances will look like, let alone their ceilings. Will Jayden Daniels continue his superstar trajectory, or will the talent around him bring him back a few steps, a la CJ Stroud? Will Bryce Young live up to his draft billing? Will Caleb Williams turn it around under a new regime? No one knows, but looking and observing past and present player comps, one can manage an educated guess, even if they are still wrong. On this video, I will be giving my opinion on every starting QB ceiling for the upcoming season. Now, this isn't to say where they currently are in their NFL careers or what they did last year or even the year before that. This is estimating where if we were in a perfect coaching talent scenario, what would their ceiling look like? For the record, I'm skipping upcoming rookies like Warren Sanders simply because I have no realistic idea on what to expect because I haven't seen them play against NFL talent. We are grading on an A to F scale like in school, so A plus is a perfect QB, MVP caliber every year, no flaws, while a B is an above average QB that you can win with, but not necessarily win because of on a consistent basis. C is your average QB. Your game managers won't win because of, but won't necessarily lose you the game. D is your below average quarterbacks, your backups, maybe be able to fill in every once in a while, but won't win consistently and you can't rely on them. F is just your busts. They have no business being in the league. First up is Josh Allen from the Buffalo Bills. This one is pretty simple. It's an A to an A plus. In a perfect coaching and talent scenario, I think Josh Allen is right up there with Mahomes in the potential category. The man has been carrying that franchise on his back for a while now. It honestly reminds me of Peyton Manning when he carried those Colts teams kicking and screaming to the playoffs every year, and as soon as he left they cratered. Joe Burrow from the Cincinnati Bengals. This one is a little tough for me because the guy just can't stay healthy on a consistent basis, and the best ability is availability. He's probably a B plus to an A minus. I think he has very good talent, probably not to the levels of Allen and Mahomes, but he clearly isn't lacking. He led a depleted offensive line to the Super Bowl, which is impressive, but he also had one of the best wide receiver ones and probably the best wide receiver two in the league for years now. So it's hard to draw the line on what is him and what is them. Also, his coach is above average on the offensive side too. Derek Carr from the New Orleans Saints. Derek is what he is at this point. He's a C plus to B minus at this point in his career. He will pop off every now and then, but he's not talented enough to overcome talent deficiencies, and even with the perfect coaching and perfect playmakers, he's probably still the same guy, throwing medicine balls to his wide receivers and tight ends and overshooting guys. Jayden Daniels from the Washington Commanders. Here's one of those second-year guys that is hard to read. Fact is, defenses and coordinators are smart and will have an entire offseason to come up with a game plan to attack his weaknesses and take away what he likes to do. I would still give him a B plus to an A minus at this point in his career. He's a smart dude and knows what he's doing in the offense specifically designed for him. I already think he's in the perfect coaching scenario for him under Kingsbury, though his weapons are far from perfect. He will contend for an MVP here and there and definitely get some Pro Bowls throughout his career, but I don't think he is on the same level as Mahomes, Lamar, and Allen. Maybe he shows out this year and proves me wrong, but I think he's a tier below those guys in the talent category. Sam Darnold of the Seattle Seahawks. Sam is interesting because I think we just saw what his ceiling was under the perfect coaching and perfect weapons in Minnesota. I think O'Connell is a top flight coach and offensive play caller. I would give him a B to a B plus. I think in actuality, his ceiling is the first 14 games of last season, but his realistic expectations are close to the last 3 weeks he played. Justin Fields of the New York Jets. Boy, this is a weird one. I have watched a ton of Justin Fields throughout his career just because I had the misfortune of being a Bears fan, and he is still the same guy I saw in Chicago 3 years ago. I will give him a C plus to a B minus. Man, he's going to wow you with those crazy sack-breaking plays when he breaks loose for 50 yards, but in the fourth quarter when you're down and need passing to get back into it, he's going to leave you short more times than not. I hear what a lot of Justin Fields fans say about him, and there are a lot of them out there, and they are rabid. But you can only use the excuse of poor coaching and weapons for so long. He was the same guy in Pittsburgh that he was in Chicago, and I think he's going to be the same guy in New York. Jared Goff of the Detroit Lions. I'm genuinely happy for Jared after what happened to him in LA. He's a good quarterback and will win you some games in perfect conditions, and honestly, the past 3 years we saw his ceiling under the perfect coaching with the perfect weapons and offensive line. He's a B plus to an A minus. The dude will win you some games and contend for some MVPs once in a while, but he has a limited arm talent and isn't the most athletically gifted human being on earth. He makes up for his limitations with his smarts and intangibles. Justin Herbert of the LA Chargers. Justin Herbert is an enigma to me. I'm going to be honest, I haven't watched a ton of Chargers games the past few years. I'm not really sure anybody that has, but what I've seen, I think the dude is super talented. In the right coaching environment with the right weapons, he's probably a B plus to an A minus. Kind of in the same realm as Jared Goff, just with more physical gifts. It's hard to evaluate him in this new system under Greg Roman because Greg isn't really known as the most innovative passing game coordinator out there, but Justin still looked decent last year, minus any real wide receiver talent outside of Ladd McConkey. Jalen Hurts of the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen was kind of in the perfect offense last year for his skill set. He is perfect for that run first, throw it when necessary type of offense. And I think outside of maybe a slight upgrade at offensive coordinator last year, that was kind of a ceiling. He was surrounded by some of the best and deepest talent in the NFL on offense, and his defense, to be fair. I would give him a B to a B plus, and it's really hard to go below that because the dude just won a Super Bowl. But I think if in a standard drop back pass offense, he would struggle a bit. He's kind of a system QB, and there's nothing wrong with that. It just has a bad connotation within the NFL. Lamar Jackson of the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar is so fascinating to me because in the regular season, the dude is unstoppable. But for whatever reason in the playoffs, he turns into a pumpkin at least once. I would give him an A minus to an A. I can't deny the guy's physical gifts, and he contends for MVPs every year. But it's a little like the Jalen Hurts comparison. I just think he is in a good system tailor-made to his skill set by Todd Monken. And I guess the grade is held back a bit because of his playoff performances. But this year was kind of a ceiling year with a perfect offense tailor-made to his skill set and King Henry out of the backfield. One thing that probably hurt the most was the dearth of talent at wide receiver. Trevor Lawrence of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor is starting to enter the Derek Carr territory where I think he is kind of what he is at this point. But it's so hard to say that because of his past coaching and lack of talent around him outside of second-year receiver Brian Thomas Jr. I'm going to give him a slight bump in the grade because he is still relatively young, and maybe Liam unlocks something after being with Baker for a year and having the knowledge carried over from Big Bay. But he's a B to a B plus at this point. Will Levis of the Tennessee Titans. This is kind of unfair to Titans fans considering they have a new QB after April 24th and Cam Ward, but since we aren't including upcoming rookies, here we are. Will Levis is a D plus to a C minus. Dude is a backup in the league, plain and simple. Last year he was given the keys of the kingdom and he chucked those keys into the nearest lake and burned the kingdom down. Even in the perfect system with the perfect weapons, the dude ain't it. He will make plenty of money as a clipboard holder over his career though, so he really shouldn't feel too bad. Jordan Love of the Green Bay Packers. Jordan is starting to enter established territory with me. He's had 2 years now under one of the best offensive head coaches in the league, and last year had one of the best running backs behind him to take the pressure off. I think after this year, we'll probably have a concrete idea on what this dude actually is, but as of this moment, I would give him a B plus to an A minus. The guy has the physical tools to make things happen, and some of those throws he makes will make your mind blow in a good way, and then other throws will make your mind blow in a bad way. If he can start cutting out those WT moments and play within the system like LaFleur wants, I think he will enter top 7 QB territory. He's just not there for me yet. Patrick Mahomes, the Kansas City Chiefs. It's an A+. I mean, what else do you want from me? This dude is in the perfect situation with Andy Reid, and when he had the best wide receivers and Travis Kelce wasn't geriatric, he was putting up insane numbers not seen since Brady had Moss for that crazy year. He knows how to win in crunch time. He has the clutch gene. He just needs an offensive line that can block for more than 1 second before he gets smoked. No QB can thrive in those situations. Drake May of the New England Patriots. This one is tough, and I almost didn't include him because he is teetering on that rookie status with not having having played much last year. From what I saw under terrible circumstances last year, the kid can play. And under the perfect umbrella, he's probably a B to a B plus for me right now. And before I get murdered in the comment section from Pats fans, I preface this by saying I haven't seen enough of him to sway me to a higher grade. But I think he was the right pick last year for sure, considering the other two guys were gone. Baker Mayfield of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let me be upfront about this. I love Baker Mayfield as a quarterback. This man has gotten more men head coaching jobs, probably only second to McVay. If only the Browns had somebody like Mayfield on the team, I think they would be pretty good. Even with all that said, I would say he's a B to a B plus ceiling guy. He is what he is at this point, which is a really solid QB that will win you a game here or there. I would love to see what he looks like in the same offense 2 years in a row, but evidently that's too much to ask. JJ McCarthy of the Minnesota Vikings. Look, I included JJ because it's not fair to Vikings fans to go with the backup guy, but this is an incomplete grade for me. Personally, I foresee a B minus to a B guy, but I can't give him a concrete grade after saying I would include rookies for the Titans. I will say the fact that the Vikings were looking back to bring back Darnold is a little concerning, but as more of an injury precaution than a statement of McCarthy's talent, if you ask me. Kyler Murray of the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler is entering Derek Carr territory for me as well. He's a fine quarterback, but he is becoming an is what it is type of QB very quickly. He's a B minus to B guy in my opinion. Even in the perfect offense with the perfect weapons, he's just kind of meh. He's a solid starter with holes in his game that might win you a game here or there, but he's a win with, not because of guy in my opinion. Bo Nix to the Denver Broncos. Boy, talk about a weird one. For starters, I believe Bo landed in a perfect coaching situation with Sean Payton, who may be notoriously hard on his players, but the dude wins and wins a lot. Bo's weapons last year weren't fantastic, and I think with perfect weapons, he enters the Jared Goff territory for me, just with a slightly bigger arm and more athleticism. I think he lands in that B to B plus territory for me. Again, it was one season, and that could fluctuate next year, but he proved at least he could hang with the good teams. Michael Penix Jr. of the Atlanta Falcons. This one I'm torn on. He didn't play a lot last year because of Captain Kirk, but he did play enough to get a solid idea on what he is. I'm going to give him a soft grade of a B minus to a B. Again, a totally soft grade. He showed enough promise to consider him potentially as a franchise QB, but it's still so early. Dak Prescott of the Dallas Cowboys. Dak is firmly in Derek Carr territory, just with more upside. The man has been the same QB for 5 seasons now. Granted, he has put up some great seasons in that time, but nothing to show for it in the playoffs. He's been through 2 head coaches now, partially because of the play of the quarterback. The Cowboys always have top-tier talent, especially since Dak has been there. There was a stretch for a while where they were darn near stacked at every position on offense, and they did nothing with it. He's a B to a B plus quarterback. He'll have those crazy years, but some of those stats are empty calorie stats, so it's hard to differentiate with him. Brock Purdy of the San Francisco 49ers. Talk about a controversial QB. 2 years ago, this guy was in his ceiling type of year with the perfect coaching with Shanahan and enough weapons to make the rest of the league swoon. But times have changed a bit. With the drop in talent came a drop in production. Not entirely his fault, but his ceiling was more likely the 2023 season. I would give him a B to a B plus in the same category talent-wise as Dak. He will have those smoldering years followed by a slight clunker. He's good for the Shanahan system, though, and I believe the Niners will pay him a pretty penny to stay. Anthony Richardson of the Indianapolis Colts. But he has been a complete bust, I'm going to say it. He has 1 or 2 plays where you're like, dang, and then 15 to 20 plays where you're like, ew. He was a swing and a miss on talent versus production for the Colts, and I'm surprised Chris Ballard still has a job at this point. He's a D plus to a C minus quarterback, a backup with tantalizing ability, just won't live up to it in my opinion. He's a mix of Justin Fields and Will Levis. Mason Rudolph of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Again, it's not fair to Steelers fans, I know. But Aaron hasn't signed and the draft is a big question mark for Pittsburgh. Mason is a career backup. He will continue to be a career backup, but he is on the higher end of those backups in my opinion. He's a C minus to a C. Geno Smith of the Las Vegas Raiders. 4 years ago, this would get the same grade as Mason Rudolph, just another backup QB, but Geno has put on a show in Seattle the past few years, and that deserves our respect. Even in a perfect system with perfect weapons, he's probably a B minus to B quarterback. He will keep you in games and maybe win 1 or 2 on rare occasions, but other than that, he's just an average guy to fringe above average QB. Matthew Stafford, the LA Rams. Stafford showed his ceiling season a few years ago on his way to a Super Bowl. He's an OG in this league now and at the top of his game. In a perfect situation, he's a B plus to A minus QB. A few years ago, I would have firmly put him in A territory, but age does play a factor. He will continue to be a solid starter at the very least for the next couple seasons if he can stay healthy, but the Rams should also have a plan in place to replace him when he retires or his body just gives out after the beating he took in Detroit for all those years. CJ Stroud of the Houston Texans. CJ had a comeback to earth season last year. It was a wake-up call in many cases in my opinion, and this isn't going to be as easy as he probably thought it was after year one, and that progress always isn't in a straight line. This example is so why I'm a bit tepid on Jayden Daniels this upcoming year. Teams adjust and talent levels fluctuate on offense every year. I think in the perfect scenario, he's an average to above average quarterback that will definitely win you some games and make a couple Pro Bowls here and there, but I do think there is a major talent gap between him and the top tier guys. He reminds me of Jordan Love, just in a worse situation. I would give him a B to a B plus ceiling going into next year. Tua Tagovailoa, Miami Dolphins. Tua is a B minus to a B. We saw his ceiling a few years ago with McDaniel and all those weapons and a decent offensive line. He has limitations as a QB. Dude is accurate but doesn't have a ton of arm strength, and I'm just going to flat out limit his ceiling, period, no matter what situation he is in. I cringed when Miami paid him, but from their point of view, what else are they going to do? It's a tricky situation, and they did what they thought they had to do in the moment. Deshaun Watson, Cleveland Browns. F minus person, D minus a D player. Don't like him. Yes, it is personal. Sorry, Browns fans, he is still your starter as of now. If you want to grade on Flacco, instead he's a C minus to C QB. He's a backup even in the best situations. Caleb Williams, the Chicago Bears. I don't know where to put Caleb. I'm probably going to go B plus to A minus for now just because last year was a complete loss. He went from the best situation for a rookie QB going into last year to the worst one in a matter of 2 months. He was beaten bloody, partially due to his own play, and received zero help from the coaching staff. His offensive coordinator was a giant boob, and his head coach was incompetent. We will learn a lot more about Caleb this year with Ben Johnson, but coming out of last year, he was widely regarded as top QB, oozing with talent. Granted, some had Jayden higher, I get that. I'm talking on average, he was rated number 1. That talent doesn't just dry up after one season. This grade will most likely fluctuate the most next year, either good or bad. Russell Wilson and the New York Giants. Russell at this point is a C plus to a B minus. He's teetering on the backup QB level, but just enough to entice certain organizations to take a shot at him. He still wants top dollar, and I think this will probably be the last organization that gives him anything over $10 million a year. Finally, Bryce Young of the Carolina Panthers. Bryce showed growth last year, and honestly I'm happy for him because he did not deserve the beating he got in his first year and a half in the league. The dude just put his head down and went to work. Didn't whine, didn't complain. He even took a demotion last year relatively well, and I think he has a decent guy at head coach in Canales that maybe be able to drag some of that talent to the surface. I'm still going to give him a B to a B plus mainly because of his physical limitations, mainly his size. Guys in the NFL are getting bigger, faster, stronger, and in comparison, he looks like a Make-A-Wish kid. It's not fair, but honestly, that's the NFL. You will be dissected every way until Sunday in everything you do, who you are, or what you look like at the combine and measurements. I think I got them all. You guys can come fight me in the comments about how bad I did or how big of a homer I am. I enjoy the banter.